Hey everybody, welcome back to The Door and our 10-minute meditations for Lent. My name's Tori and I'm here with Rebekah, and today we're talking about Psalm 51 and supernovas.
And we really want to have this conversation with you as well. So if you could please comment, let us know if you're joining us live or if you're joining us later by commenting live or replay. And we're going to talk about Lent, and one of the things that Tori and I have in common is that we have both not celebrated Lent our entire lives. It's fairly new to us.
Yeah, I was confirmed as an Episcopalian just this last May, and so kind of entering into a Lenten practice with my church this season has been really special. And so the psalm that we're doing today, Psalm 51, is actually part of the Ash Wednesday liturgy. And so if you are joining us and you're from a church tradition where you went to an Ash Wednesday service, this psalm is going to be familiar to you. And one of the reasons why Psalm 51 is a Lent psalm is because it's a psalm of penitence. And so David is considered the author of this psalm, and he is going through a really honest look at himself during Lent. And so that's kind of what we're talking about today, is an honest look at Lent for ourselves. And in Psalm 51, he has all of these really strong verbs. He's asking God, blot out my transgressions, purge me with hyssop, create in me a clean heart. So there's this tension that he's feeling as David is honestly reflecting on himself. And that reflection is a really important piece of Lent in the Christian tradition. There's usually, I think it's 3. It's prayer, almsgiving, and fasting. And so this prayer piece or reflection is really one of the postures that we bring to Lent. And as we were reading Psalm 51, and what I'm excited for us to talk about is I was starting to feel the pressure of David's honest look at himself, kind of this like ball of energy in his core pushing outward against I'm trying to say great and vast at the same time. So against the great and vast goodness of God. And in that pressure, you see starting in verse 12, this collapse. And that made me think of a supernova, because I don't know if you know anything about supernovas, but they're these really mega stars, and all of the energy and the fusion that's happening in the star's core, when it runs out of energy, it just collapses. And what comes out of that is this huge explosion. I think we actually have a picture of the Crab Nebula that we can show of what it looks like after a supernova and after you have this collapse that leads to this big explosion.
Yeah, and what struck me with that is that the star has died. And it's basically like with us, we have to die of ourselves. We have to know that we need to be restored, and we can't restore ourselves. Like the star can't bring beauty out of what has happened, but only God can, and only our Creator can in that same way.
Yeah, the picture of the Crab Nebula is gorgeous. And I'm a stargazer. I grew up in New Mexico, so I love going out and looking at the stars, but the picture of a single star is nothing in comparison as the picture of the Crab Nebula, if you saw, with all of the colors and the dust cloud. And the thing that makes supernovas relate even more to Lent is there's this death of the star, like what you're talking about. But in the nebula cloud of all the dust particles, there's all of this hope for rebirth and new creation. And that's really where the psalm goes. So the first half of Psalm 51 is David feeling this pressure and this honest look inside of himself. And it's not, I wouldn't say that it's a wallowing, but it's saying, okay, during these 40 days of Lent, am I really looking at what's going on here? Like, am I really presenting myself to God in a way that could be dangerous, right? A supernova is a huge, huge cosmic event. Like, what if the way that we look at Lent is this like huge, internally cosmic event? I don't know. But then he says in verse 12, restore to me the joy of your salvation and sustain in me a willing spirit. So after this collapse, there's this beauty and hope. And that's kind of where we're moving towards from Easter. Restore to me the joy of my salvation.
Yeah, so the song we're going to share with you today, the refrain of it says, restore to me the joy of my salvation, restore to me. And I think that's just the cry of our heart always, but particularly to focus on Lent. This song has really just spoken to me through the years. I think I first learned of it maybe 10, 11 years ago. And so as we were looking at the scripture, it was just what came to me to be able to share with y'all today. It just really speaks to that.
That tension and then the crying out of restoration. You're going to sing that for us today?
Yes.
That's great. Maybe while you're getting ready for that, I'd love to share just a little bit as we were preparing for this today. It's hard for it not to be timely for me. We're talking about this pressure, and I'm finishing up my Master's of Divinity in seminary, and I had a really hard time writing my final portfolio. And that's kind of hard to say on camera to all of you guys watching right now, but I really, truly felt this last week, this pressure. And it occurred to me as we were prepping for this and praying for this and talking with our team that I needed to allow this collapse to happen, to really say, like, God, you've got to come here and do this, because like Rebekah said, it's not something that we do. And so Lent isn't about the doing. And I think that's what, as we're talking about this and as we're moving into the song today, the beauty of a supernova is just that collapse. And just saying whatever's going to come from this, Lord, that explodes out into this cosmic beauty is your doing. And so what if we just collapse and we have this honest moment with ourselves and with God where we just say, like, Lord, the pressure of this, you can picture the core of a star. I'm just going to let this fall in this Lent and be honest with you so that I can come to this place of praying, restore to me, God, the joy of your salvation.
Hide your face from my sin and cover my iniquities. Create in me a clean heart and renew a right spirit within me. Don't cast me away from your presence. Don't take your spirit from me. Restore to me the joy of your salvation. Restore to me the wonders of your love. Restore to me the joy of your salvation. Restore to me. Restore to me. Hide your face from my sin and cover my iniquities. Create in me a clean heart and renew a right spirit within me. Don't cast me away from your presence. Don't take your spirit from me. Restore to me the joy of your salvation. Restore to me the wonders of your love. Restore to me the joy of your salvation. Restore to me. Restore to me. Deliver me from this tower of darkness, through the pain and brokenness. And I will sing of your loving kindness and your righteousness. Restore to me the joy of your salvation. Restore to me the wonders of your love. Restore to me the joy of your salvation. Restore to me. Restore to me. Restore to me. Restore to me.
So that's our 10-minute Lenten devotional and meditation for today. We're going to be doing this every Wednesday during Lent all the way up until Easter. And as you go back to your work days, finish up your lunch break, I'd really encourage you, take a look at Psalm 51. Pray this prayer along with David and along with Christians all throughout the last, 2,000 years, and even before that from the Psalter. And maybe take a minute and Google what a supernova or nebula looks like, and just let that be a place of invitation for collapse and for God to come in and do something beautiful with your surrender. So we'll see you back here next week on Wednesday at noon. Thanks for being here with us.